A woman cried out to the king. I heard that in times of famine, it's women that suffer more. I don't know how much truth. Because that truth is not from the Bible. It's just from, for instance, in times of war, the impact that it has upon women because of their tendency to want to provide for the family, to see that the children are eating, they can go without food and all of that. So so it was a woman that cried out to the king. The king was strolling on the fence, the wall of the city. I don't know what moved a hungry king to the fence, but that was where he was. And the woman was in the city and saw him elevated on the fence. He cried out, "O king, help us. O king, deliver us. This matter." And then the king now revealed. The king used to be a very unsincere man before, but that day he was sincere. He said, "If God does not help you, from whence can I bring this help?" Now, a lot of you are looking to our king and say, so the first point, the first thing, the first matter, the first P, if you want to call it that we must use in a time of famine is to come to the understanding of the fact that if God does not help us, we cannot get help. So wisdom requires, therefore, that we turn our face to God. You must have heard what one of our senior ministers said in recent times in trying to analyze our condition from a more holistic perspective. He said that the problem of Nigeria is spiritual. As much as I know most of you don't like that kind of remark because you are professionals, you are economists, you are mathematicians, you are statisticians, you know how to stimulate the economy and the kind of things that we need to do as a nation in order for us to come and float again. I know you are professionals, but the person that spoke is not an illiterate person. The pastor that spoke, that gave perspective about the state of our economy, is not altogether an illiterate. He's a doctorate degree holder. So he knows what the numbers mean. However, he said that our problem is not tied to strategy and methods. Our problem is spiritual. And that's the description of what was obtainable in this scripture. So I want to advise, if you can, I know in the marketplaces and those of you that do business and trade in the market, every day you talk about the president and, he's not doing anything. He himself is helpless. Now, let me show you what the king said unto. The king said unto him. And the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall. There cried a woman unto him, saying, "Help my Lord, O king." And he said, "If the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor or out of the winepress? Is there a storehouse that is available that I'm going to take resources from to attend to you? Is the help going to come from the winepress?" So this response that the king gave to the woman was an indication of the fact that he himself was helpless. There were only two sources from whence he would have provided help under normal circumstances. From the barn floor. That is to say, in a situation where they had a grain stylus, where they save grain for a rainy day, then salvation would have come from the barn floor. But unfortunately, the resources in the barn floor at this time had already been exhausted. And there were no fresh grapes again to take to the wine press. So there was nothing coming from the wine press, and there was nothing stored up in the barn floor. And he was saying, if God does not help us, there is no help in sight. I'm not an economist. I'm a scientist. And because of my experience in the petroleum industry, I have eyes to understand the news, the updates that are coming from that industry. Most often, it is the shape of the oil industry that determines the strength of our economy. And we have had a subsidy removal policy that skyrocketed all the prices to the current situation today. And the truth of the matter is that, as you have all seen, the economy of Nigeria in the state that it was before the subsidy was removed did not have the capacity to maintain or to take the shock. And normally when a very drastic policy like that goes into force, palliatives are made available to cushion the effect of that drastic policy. Palliatives in form of increase in salaries, so that we can have a new average, a new reference point. Palliative in terms of, the oil now, that because we're subsidizing consumption, which is it's a wrong economic strategy. So it is justified to remove the subsidy. But you can now subsidize the production so that what it will cost to produce 1 liter of petrol will be less. And because of that, it will impact upon the prices. And that will be an internal arrangement that will create a buffer for the people. So there are two sources. It's either we have subsidies. Are you there? Subsidies basically on production, so that the production cost will go down. For instance, if we subsidize, crude is the major component that determines 70% of what becomes the pump price. Unfortunately for us, crude is bought in hard currency, in dollars. It is priced and bought in dollars. So even if the price of crude should drop, because our naira has been devalued, it will still translate to a high pump price. Do you understand the metrics? So in such a situation, what the king said is what is obtainable. If God does not help you, from whence can I get the help? There's another argument, and the other argument is now that you have removed the subsidy, it means that there's more money available in the economy to attend to important matters. And I hope you know Nigeria. The more money doesn't reflect on the dashboard. So if God does not help us, I did some calculations, but it's not for this class. If I'm not online, I will show you the calculations that I did from December to January, just looking at the Nigerian situation in terms of economy. And I came to the conclusion of the king. If God, please help me preach to your neighbor, if God does not help us, there is no help in sight. Now, so I know many of you intellectuals believe that this my submission is non-academic, and because of that, there's no deliverance in it. I will show you how to find deliverance. Because when we decide to turn to God, many things happen. Just like it became clear that only God could provide the answer. Meanwhile, the guys that are suffering from this economic situation are not. See, imagine you are in the city now. This woman that is crying and say, "Oh, King, help us." That woman that is crying has not seen Ben-Hadad. Ben-Hadad and his camp and his team are camped in a place that this widow, this woman, has not seen them. But they are the ones that are responsible for the death of her child that she delivered to be eaten yesterday so that they could eat her neighbor's child tomorrow. Can you see the human strategy for surviving the situation that they came up with? Cannibalism. So it means that this hunger was so bad that it had changed the configuration of the heart of the people. The people could now consider their children as meat for the table. I think something much more than a bad economy was responsible. Because even as the situation is in Nigeria now, it has not occurred to anybody that meanwhile, the selfish arrangements among parents, among mothers for survival was heavily rigged with manipulation itself. Because after they had a sumptuous moment taking this woman's son, it was time for the other one, and then the finger of manipulation was found in the whole arrangement. The woman went to seek justice from the king. When the king heard the matter, I was expecting the king to judge. He became weak. He was so weak to even bring judgment. If God does not help us, from whence can I provide the help? The helplessness of the king became obvious. So right now we are turning to God. Sometimes God can allow a famine so that men can turn to him again. Right? Sometimes God can allow it so that the hearts of men can turn. Because normally a lot of us will want to make do with our intelligence, and then a situation comes where your intelligence counts for nothing. An opportunity comes, therefore, for us to turn to the Lord our God. Yes, I asked for the price of spaghetti. Is that the most common? No, Indomie. Let's start with Indomie. What was the price of Indomie before? And what is it now? I know there are people here that Indomie is a major item on their table, so they should be able to give us an update on that matter. Yes? Who? It was 50 naira. 350 for one. Oh, you are not helping me. You are not helping me. Oh, it seems the pastors don't eat Indomie. That's what I'm saying. Yes, Pastor Tony, what's happening? What was the cost of Indomie before and what is the cost now?
The last time I went to get for my kids, I got a carton of Super Pack for 7,600.
No. You see, you are on another level. Okay. We are not talking about people that buy in cartons.
Okay.
In fact, you are not supposed to comment in this meeting. We are looking for people that buy one pack after pack. Those are the people that know the tension that is in the market. A pack, yeah, sister? Please equip her with a microphone.
Before, Super Pack 1 was 200. As at today, it's 400.
So we have... Yeah. They are saying that the shop you bought your own.
It's old stock.
The help of the Lord had already visited that. The help that the king is talking about, that God can help. God had helped that shop. That's why it's wrong. Because it's 500 now.
A few days ago, it was 450.
It was 450.
I was at the shop last night. Somebody told me that the carton was 15,200. But at the shop, they say they supplied to the shop for 18,000. So we don't know what the retail price.
As unacademic as this first point is, we are going to believe it. If God does not help us. And indeed, I've looked at the figures. It's in the petroleum industry that my expertise gives me eyes to see. I've looked at the figures and I can tell you, if God does not help us, there is no help in sight. And it will interest you to know, we just came back from Cameroon. And we used Osayi Airlines for the trip. Osayi Airlines is domiciled in Togo. So when you take a flight from Abuja, they'll take you to Togo first. And then from Togo, you can go to any other destination of your choice. So we got to Togo, and Togo is not so far from here, as you know. And this meltdown, in fact, the currency of Togo, which is the what's it called again? Safer. It has increased in value. The safer has climbed. For the first time in all these trips that we have made, the Naira is junior to the safer. It was an embarrassment. So what I'm saying is that this famine does not affect Togo. Ben-Hadad, the influence of Ben-Hadad is not a regional thing. It's just Nigeria that has been besieged. Are you there? And then Cameroon is on the other side. Benin Republic is here, Togo is here, Cameroon is here. You know the map. So we went to Cameroon and everything was prospering. Everything, the economy was robust. The people were not even thinking about food because there was food everywhere. They were thinking about other things like witchcraft. One of the things that I'm going to compel us to do is to turn our face to the Lord and ask Him for an intervention. Because as I speak, it's obvious the king has no answer to this question. Is that clear?